Hello everybody, welcome back to the Advanced Vape channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Cosmonaut RDA from District 5 and Mystery Mod Company. So I know I'm really late with this review. The Cosmonaut's been out for quite a while. Sometimes I have to kind of pick and choose which atomizers I want to pay for. So I was a little bit late, it kept keep getting delayed. But I did want to end up buying this RDA, and so I bought it and I want to do a review on it. Although it's been out for a little while, I think it's still worth taking a look at. So this is a 24mm postless design, and it's real simple. The layout of it, it's just a block here in the middle with 4 terminals, kind of 2 posts. You can see if it'll focus. So you can see it's just kind of a positive block sitting on the insulator and the negative milled into the deck. Real simple design. Not a whole lot of room for wicking, but that's where the kind of chimney comes in. In this case, the chimney sort of acts like the juice well, and I'll show that a little bit once we get it wicked. As for the upper part of it, it's pretty simple. You've got kind of a 3-slot thing like a lot of RDAs have, so that you can do single coil if you want. And this would be the kind of dual coil setup, and that would be the single where one side's blocked and one side is open. Just real simple, but nicely designed and nicely made. And a nice drip tip that says Cosmonaut on there. The airflow is just kind of a Cyclops airflow with these beveled edges, kind of a milled into the sides there. So just a real simple design. Oh, got it upside down. And airflow control is just by rotating this. Okay, so let's go on and zoom in and get through the dry fire and everything, and then we'll talk about wicking. Okay, so for this build, I decided to go with a naked staple with kind of twisted frames in there. It got a little bit squirrely on the install, so some of the frames kind of pushed themselves out of alignment. It was hard to keep it all together, but that's just kind of how it goes for me with this type of build. Anyway, actually building on this is super easy. Like any postless, you need to trim the posts, or trim the legs to fit down into the posts. I trimmed it about to where about where my fingernail is. So yeah, I don't know, I just try it once, and once I get kind of the sweet spot, I always cut it to that same length, and it's really not a big deal for me. Okay, so we'll go on and get through the dry fire real quick and talk about wicking. Okay, real easy on that dry fire, no problems at all. One thing I forgot to point out when I was talking about the build is it has slotted screws on the side, and they work extremely well. You're able to get plenty of tension and really make sure that it's a tight, secure connection. Okay, so let's go and zoom out and talk about wicking. So as you can see here, there's not a whole lot of room to put your wicks, and it kind of turns into a sort of an awkward exercise in just kind of stuffing the cotton around and making sure it's not blocking the air holes. So I'm going to be using Kendo Gold on this. So I cut the legs just a little bit longer than I normally would. They need to wrap around there. So I cut them about there. Just eyeballing it. And that may be a little bit long, and I can adjust it. I normally just kind of force them downwards here and then wrap around in the front. So I don't wrap it directly like that. I try and get it to be angled just a little bit. And that might be just a little bit too much cotton, but it'll work. Really, you just want to make sure that it's pushed down in the front there so that it's not blocking the airflow. And you'll kind of probably have to readjust it once you put the top cap on. So yeah, I kind of did that in a kind of messy way. I put a lot of juice on there, so it was a little bit of a mess when I put the cap on. But for an RDA, it's just kind of, it's a little bit finicky on the wicking. Normally RDAs are super duper easy to wick, and this one, it's not hard, it's a little awkward. But ideally you want it to kind of look like this. And as you can see, now that the chimney is in place, it kind of has its own juice well. So just having this chimney on there is kind of serving the purpose that a juice well would normally do on an RDA. So from this point, I never take the chimney off. I've had it accidentally come off and it kind of made a mess, but when you go to re-drip it, you can either just drip down the chimney, which works really well, or you can take this upper section off and paint the coils if that's how you do it. But when I'm using it, I never take this outer chimney off. I leave that airflow all the way open. Okay, so we're going to have it at about 120 watts. That's good enough. So I want to talk just a second about coil positioning. I've seen a lot of pictures of people kind of positioning the coils all over the place on this RDA. So I have them kind of directly up above the deck, and that sort of goes against my instinct to try and make the coils close to the airflow. But in the case of this RDA, it doesn't really seem like it's necessary. I've seen a lot of pictures of people pushing their coils way, way out, real close to the airflow. I personally haven't noticed a big difference when I do that, so I just kind of like it just straight in there, maybe very slightly outwards, but really nothing crazy there. So the very first thing that kind of jumps out at you, like a lot of postless designs, and this one is sort of the most in that direction, is the airflow is just super buttery smooth. It's as smooth as airflow as any RDA that I've tried. That's probably because it's postless and because of just the design of this airflow, but it's just super completely smooth, and it's a real nice feeling breathing through it. Yeah, I really love the way that airflow feels. It's just so smooth. And even big builds in there, it's not hot. It's got tons of density, but it's not real hot. It's just slightly warm for me at 122 watts with those staples in there. So kind of surprising the way that it performs. I would think that the coils need to come out a little bit for it to perform well, but that's really not the case here. Overall, I really, really enjoy just the vape off of this. The flavor and density is really good, and that airflow can be kind of addictive. I totally see why this RDA has gotten so much attention, and people keep talking about it and everything. To me, it's sort of, as far as RDAs go, I know that I don't use as many RDAs as other people. I tend towards RTAs, but for RDAs, it's kind of like my reference now since I got it. It's the one that I'm comparing others to. I really, really like the vape off of it, and it's extremely good as far as RDAs go. Yeah, I think you could pretty easily say that it's one of the best RDAs on the market right now, at least in my opinion. I really don't have anything bad to say about it. The only kind of downside that I've seen is that the wicking can be a little bit finicky, like I showed, but it's not bad. There's no real problem with it. It's just a little bit awkward. But once you have it set up, it's totally fine. I have no issues with it, really. There's just other RDAs, of course, that are easier to wick. But they don't perform as well as this one or have the flavor that this one has. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I really like this RDA, and I'm glad that I finally did a review on it. Sorry that it was a little bit late, but if you're into RDAs or you're looking for kind of the top tier sort of RDAs, definitely give this one a look. I've talked to people that have used it and really love it, and I've talked to people that have used it in single coil and says that they say that it works very well in single coil. It's pretty much the same build on there in single or dual. You just kind of ignore two of those holes, so it can switch back and forth very easily. So that'll bring us to the end of this video about the Cosmonaut RDA from District 5 and Mystery Mod Company. If you like this video on our channel, give us a like and subscribe. And as always, if you have any questions, leave them below in the comments or send me an email. Thanks.